Welcome to SDH's coverage of the UPSL National Finals, and this is where we catch up with all four teams that have made their way to historic Columbus Crew Stadium for the national semifinals. The survivors move on to the finals, and here's your rundown of events on your Friday. Beaman United taking on Queensboro FC II. That one is at 5:30. Beaman United out of Brentwood, Tennessee. Queensboro FC is getting ready for their time in USL Championship, and so their FC2 squad is a part of things in the UPSL. Then a UPSL After Dark at 8:30. Orange County FC goes up against the Dodge City Toros and Dodge City Toros FC. So what we're going to do here over the next little bit is catch up with a lot of the principals attached to these franchises. We catch up with all four head coaches and an owner when we get to the Orange County FC portion of the program. So what we'll do is we'll just run through things. Dodge City Toros, they are probably the underdog of the four teams that have made their way to historic Columbus Crew Stadium. And it's an interesting story about a great soccer town. And we caught up with head coach Raul de la Torre on the bus, in the van, traveling 15 hours from Dodge City, Kansas to Columbus, Ohio. And here is the Dodge City story as they made it to the national semis. Time to start our coverage of the UPSL chase for the championship. First head coach in the barn is Dodge City Toros head coach Raul de la Torre. Coach, thanks for hanging out with us for the preview.
Hey, no problem.
So for those that haven't had the chance to see you guys play this year, how would you describe Dodge City Toros soccer?
Dodge City Toros soccer is a lot of the guys that, have a passion for the sport and they want to learn and play, and they're willing to go in above and beyond for each other. So they're a family. And with that, they've been able to get through the obstacles together and work together and little by little improve together as well.
What kind of obstacles are we talking about? Just the grind of a schedule and having to travel all over the place, or is there something else here that folks need to know about?
Just the schedule. Also getting players situated at the facility we have, and traveling to making sure the guys are taking care of their bodies, staying mentally and physically ready at all times, making sure that they're resting when they have to rest, and and sometimes having fun, because that's what helps the team stay together as a unit.
For those that don't know about Dodge City in Kansas and what soccer means, can you describe the footprint and the impact that soccer has there in the Dodge City area and in the sport and in the state of Kansas?
Yeah, well, Dodge City, it's most of the jobs there available are from the meat plants, the meat packing plants, and it's a largely Hispanic population that's there, and there's a lot of soccer. The high school boys, they've been making it to state back to back. I think they made it into state 5 years in a row, or was it 3? But they've won 2 out of those appearances, and they were state champs. And there's a lot of soccer for the youth academy too, youth programs. And now with the UPSL, we're opening up a whole new gate for the next option for players that want to play at the next level.
Why the UPSL, and were there other leagues that when the Toros were coming to be, were there other leagues that you were thinking about? Why did the UPSL fit what you were trying to do?
I feel like UPSL just reached out to us more than any other league, and we were able to get more information, join the meetings that happen at the Kansas City Convention, and from there, we saw the process, we liked it, and we decided that that's where we're going to start. And we feel like it's a great starting point. The league's been very good. Our conference, we played some good teams, and they were very respectful. We learned a lot from them, and hopefully we can take some of that what we learned for next year, and as we finish the year as well, and keep learning and growing.
I was going to ask you, what'd you learn?
Well, I learned a lot, that's for sure. I've coached high school most of my life as an assistant at Dodge City, and I've coached little youth programs right now at the moment, and coaching these guys and gaining my licenses so I can learn more and being a part of ODP. I just try to throw myself in anything I can, so I can keep learning and growing. And I've learned the process of how to manage, players of this talent and how to work with them, how to make sure they trust me and respect me, and making sure that, they see that I have things for them to teach me. I have things that I can teach them and that they can learn. And it's been a journey, and thankfully they've been listening and working hard for us. And a lot of the boys, they just love being in Dodge City, working hard, and hopefully they take all that back to their colleges when they go back and play, and their coaches are happy with their progress as well.
For those that haven't had the chance to see you play, we talked about you stylistically, but for those who are going to be looking at the Final Four this weekend, who are some of the main focal players that when they look at Dodge City, they'll sit there and they'll kind of gravitate toward as they're watching things?
Well, the goalkeeper that we have, he's a great goalkeeper. He makes tremendous saves. We also have Caesar, who is our 9. He's been scoring lots of goals, and we have our free kick specialist. His name is Alonso. He'll be there for the game as well. And we also have the De La Torre brothers.
I was going to say, now there's some De La Torres involved.
Yeah, De La Torres, they love soccer. Andrew De La Torre, Isaias De La Torre, and Antonio De La Torre. They all have lots of experience. I think they're the ones with the most experience on the team, and they've brought a lot to the team as well. We have Cristobal, too, who's one of our center backs. We have a lot of talented players, and they've all been working very hard for us and being a part of this program.
What's it like having multiple De La Torres, coaching multiple De La Torres from your De La Torre perspective as coach?
Well, it's a lot of fun, but sometimes I gotta remind them, like, hey, I don't have my brother hat on right now. This is the coach hat, so you guys have to sit down and not get me fired up. That's one thing I had to talk with them. Like, look, I don't want to. I'm yelling at the ref because you're yelling at the ref because you're my brother, and I'm telling you to sit down. But then I can't tell you to sit down because I forget you're my brother, but you're playing. So it's been interesting, but we worked it out. It's been a lot of fun working with them, and hopefully, my younger brothers, they still want to keep playing, and they're looking for options as well. So hopefully this opens up a few doors for them so they can go play in the next league and the next level. So if that happens, that'd be great. If not, a lot of the players would appreciate it if they could keep working and improving as well.
So if I told you at the beginning of the season that this is what you would be doing, as you and I are talking, you're on a 15-hour bus trip basically. You're driving from Kansas to Columbus, Ohio for a Final Four and a chance at a championship. If I had told you that you would be doing what you're doing right now at the beginning of the year, what would you have told me?
I would have been like, I'm not sure, to be honest. I think I would have been like, I feel like we have a good chance, but we'll see if we get there. Maybe it's around that type of comment.
When you look at the opposition in your semifinal, what do you see? What's study hall been like getting ready for this one?
Well, I know they're very organized and they've had a very good season. So we're basically just going to try to have the same type of mentality that we've had for each opponent and just go at them as best as we can and see if we can come up on top.
Next up, we catch up with the club from Queensboro FC, and we catch up with the head coach of Queensboro FC II to find out what it's like to kind of do things more than once. You're dealing with multiple franchises, you're dealing with multiple competitions, and so what we did is ask Diego Gomez about what it's like having to juggle everything as Queensboro FC II is chasing after a championship. First question, when this season started, if we had this conversation and I told you that you would be in the Final Four chasing after a championship there at QBFC, what would you have told me before the season started?
I will being honest, I will say that was very, very difficult and very unlikely to happen. That was our first season in the competition. We are a really young team, and our expectations were put into to make a good season, to keep developing players, to be competitive in our conference, but not expected to make it that far.
And at the same time, aren't you playing at one point? Weren't you playing in more than one league in trying to juggle multiple leagues with multiple teams here?
Yeah, we have one team. The roster is the same. We have a roster of 20, 22, 23 players. But we have been playing in USL Academy League, which is like the research league for USL and UPSL at the same time. So there has been some months, especially May, that was very, very loaded.
Now that you're playing for a championship, I know that for some of the teams, it's hard to keep everybody. They're trying to find players. They're trying to get 18s. They're trying to juggle lineups and things like that. How consistent was your 18 or that group of folks that you got to choose from? Was it a fairly consistent group that has gotten you to this point?
It has been pretty consistent. Yeah, we have the team for the season, plus or less. You keep adding players. Now, it's true that right now we lost a couple of players to college, that they already need to leave to college, and we bring couple more. But in general, the roster is pretty much the same than when we started competing in UPSL in the first game.
If someone was to watch QBFC for the first time this weekend, how would you describe the philosophy of what you guys do every single match out there? How would you describe QBFC soccer?
Well, the first that I hope if someone watches for the first time is that they enjoy. We try to put a football there that is attractive for the spectator, that is vibrant. We try to have the ball. We want to play with the ball, but at the same time, we want to be aggressive without the ball. So be entertaining for the spectator. But I think our philosophy from the project, starting with David Villaseira, very clear. Like we want to be a team that and a club that has the ball, that is proposing with the ball, and has that in the roots, no, of what we want to do. But as I said before, also we want to be aggressive without it, and be brave and press and do those things as well.
Who are some of the folks that have stood out for you this year? For those folks who are going to be watching it for the first time, who are some of the standouts that you've had this season?
Well, I would say I'm the coach. No, it's difficult for me to choose one or two players. I think the group has done an incredible job coming together. But it's true that we have players that did a really good job, and it's beautiful to see them. I would say Minguk SEO has been really good for us. I would say Diego Fernandez as well. We have players like Anderson Hall in the back, Musa Diarra. They're also players that I think are fun to watch. Hans Leta give us a lot of balance. So there are a few players that I think that are very interesting to watch.
How much studying do you have to, or do you get to do in a situation like that? Because I imagine that when you're going through playoffs, it's match, couple days, next match, couple days, next match. It's a sprint, and you may not get a whole lot of time to study. How much studying did you get to do preparing for a national semifinal?
Well, the truth is that the setup that the UPSL put for these players for these playoffs at this level is pretty good in my opinion. So we got to play the Northeast Conference playoffs, where you have 4 teams that go there, and then after that we have another 2 weeks till Chicago. From Chicago till here we have another 2 weeks. So we have a good amount of time to study our opponents. Of course, we put more focus on Beaman, that is our first opponent, but also we have been able to study at the same time Dodge and Dodge City Toros and Orange County FC.
What has it been like in the UPSL for QBFC? I mean that from the ground up. This is something that's brand new. I mean, for QBFC, it's like, okay, yes, we're a franchise now, we're a club now, we're building. What's it been like for a new club to be a part of something in multiple places. But at the same time, what has the experience been like in the UPSL for this new experience that is QBFC?
Correct. So as you said, we're pretty new. Our first season as the second team was last year. We're supposed to start this year the first team. We're going to start next year. But what we came up is after experience last season in USL Academy, we wanted to have two things. One couple more games. We wanted to have more competition for the players, for the development. And also we were looking for a competition that we can play against older teams. Because at the end of the day, we were trying to have some of the players' objectives to have as many players from this team to play in the first team next year. So we wanted to see them in a experience in a competitive environment that is much closer to what they are going to find next season. So studying the options, we thought that UPSL, we were talking with UPSL, we thought that the platform was the correct one, that the minimum standards were good, that it has good competition, that it was cost competition also efficient. So we jumped right in, and so far so good. I think the objectives that we wanted to see achieve on the development side of the team has been successful, and I can say that I see the team growing more in these months compared to what we were able to grow on last year, and that's due to the competition.
Third club to talk about is Beaman United and their head coach Gift Nadam. And there's been, for those of you that have followed along on social media, part of the offense from Beaman United comes in the form of quadrupoku, which a lot of folks in the southeastern United States know. So we caught up with Coach Gift and wanted to ask him what it's like to bring a team from Brentwood, Tennessee to Columbus, Ohio. If at the beginning of the season we had a conversation where I would have told you that you were going to be in a Final Four chasing a championship, if we'd had that conversation before the season started, what would you have told me?
We haven't played the UPSL before. I've played in different competition and managed different levels of this game. It's rare to have a team come in the first season and even win their conference.
So then, what was the magic potion? What happened this season for a first-year club to win everything and get to a Final Four? What happened?
That's a very good question. I think for us, we've tried to hone in on mastering our craft one day at a time. At practices, we don't look at the whole week. We look at that night that we're together. When that night's done, we talk about what went well, what we need to improve on, and we just try to replicate what we improve on. Not that we don't look at the negative, but we don't stay too long on the negative. We address it. We figure a solution for it to not happen again, and we focus on the next practice. And then there's the next game, and so everything is one day at a time.
What attracted you to this gig in the first place?
Call me crazy, but I have such a crazy love for this game that coaching it collegiately and travel and different aspects of it. I said, why not? Why not try the UPSL?
So what was it that attracted, I guess, Beaman and the city of Brentwood to being a part of the UPSL? Because there's a lot of other leagues out there. What was it that attracted this idea in Brentwood, Tennessee, to be a part of the UPSL?
Well, I wanted our group, to be able to compete at a national level. That was a huge aspect of it. And could we do that in a league that is affordable? I think the UPSL, when compared to other leagues with their economy of scale, was the obvious choice for us. Now, for some other folks, that may not be the case, but for us, the UPSL was by far the one that we felt would give us the competition we needed and would put us on a national scale.
What's it been like there in the Nashville area, and then obviously you with your exposure to the sport in the Southeast? What has it been like to see the sport grow in the Southeast specifically to where it is now? Obviously there with what you're seeing at Nashville SC, investing $300 million in a facility like Geodis, and then all of the other aspects that kind of fall off of it that are along the same parts of the growth. What's it like to see there in not just Central Tennessee, but in the Southeast, to see the sport grow the way that it has?
Kudos to Nashville and the group that runs Nashville. It's a great organization, and I've been really impressed with what they've done. And it's a fun sport, right? Soccer connects people from different walks of life and from different journeys. So I'm not surprised that soccer is almost, if I can use the word catch fire or the phrase of catching fire, that's what we're seeing now. You almost see a soccer field or a soccer team or a soccer game every corner. I mean, my wife and I went out on a date night last night. We were driving back, and you saw kids playing soccer under the lights on the basketball court or tennis court. 20 years ago, me growing up here in the U.S., you wouldn't be seeing that. So, I mean, you see soccer everywhere now. So it's a beautiful game, and I'm glad that the Western Hemisphere that we're on here has embraced it, and hopefully we can continue to create an environment where it doesn't get too expensive for the younger generations, and we could, continue to learn from each other and grow and partner together through the game of soccer.
So for someone who hasn't seen Beaman play this year, how would you best describe the philosophy of Beaman United when you guys get out there and you play on a daily basis?
We're unique in the sense that, like I mentioned before, everything we've done is one possession at a time. If we lose the ball, it's one defending unit at a time, and we're different in the sense that we have a clear mission of how we want to do things, and we don't let teams change that too much. We've been down 2-0 at half in the postseason. We've been down 3-0 at half in the postseason. So staying true to who God's called us to be, and how we can best work for each other, and just retaining possession. I think when you have the ball, you create more chances to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. So we rely on possession of the ball, and we rely on each other to make the right decisions, and we trust each other, and we trust that at the end of the day, we want to look back and reflect and say, yes, that was a masterpiece. We put our best foot forward. No regrets.
Who are some of your standouts this year for folks who are getting to see Beaman for the first time here in the Final Four?
I think we have a lot. That's a tough question. That's a really tough question. We have a lot of good guys, and not so much like. And when I say good guys, I don't mean great soccer players or bad soccer players. I mean just guys that are willing to work, guys that are willing to be in tune with the instructions and to carry it out. So, it's just unselfishness, letting the ball do the work. I mean, it's a collective group effort. I mean, if you look at all the games that we've played, different guys are assisting, they're scoring, they're clearing goals off the line. I mean, like, it's a collective effort. So it wouldn't be fair to the group if I said this guy is this. They've done a heck of a job working hard for each other, pushing each other, enjoying these moments. At training on Tuesday, we had a conversation, very simple, straightforward. You've worked hard and you've earned the right to be here. Respect the team you're going to play and show up and do what you've done all year long.
How much studying do you get to do in a match week like this, knowing that there's a semifinal and then the possibility of a quick turn for a final? Is it just trusting in yourself and what you've accomplished to this point and doing your own routine, or do you actually get some studying in?
I wish I had time to do studying. I have a day job. I have 2 boys under 3, and I wish I had the time to study. We have films that we haven't been able to watch in months. So it's just relying on ourselves and trusting the ethics that we put together and the core values we put together, and trusting that our guys are going to deliver on that. I wish I had the time to watch film and to dissect, even not just opponents' film, but our film. But we've not been able to do so. We set it on a calendar, and then as the season went on and things started happening, you're like, okay, nope, my wife needs me. So my kids need me. I don't think I can give any more than what I've already given. But no, it's just relying on each other and just holding guys accountable for their decisions and their actions, and making sure they truly understand that each of their actions on and up the field affect how we perform.
All right, so then my last question for you. You're a worldly sort, Coach Gift, with all of your different degrees that you have. Let me phrase it to you this way: as someone who has dealt with an MBA, dealing with IT, Trevecca Nazarene, divinity, religion, all these things that make you the three-dimensional coach that you are. Who's your favorite musical group?
Whew, that's a tough one. Wow, you have some really good questions. That's a really tough question. When I think of music, and I live in mega city of music, music unites people just like soccer does.
Right.
And music brings out elements of you. Before we put the boys down last night, we were playing a song. I'm not going to sing it on air. I'm not a singer. I really don't want to ruin someone's day out there, so I'm not going to even attempt to sing. But it was pretty much the lyrics is the word is Jesus loves me, this I know, and he was just dancing and dancing and dancing. Daddy would just dance with me, and I'm like, yeah, baby, I'll dance with you. So I started dancing with him, and I didn't realize what I looked like dancing until my wife showed me the video. I was like, please don't show anyone that. That is not me. I don't even move like that. But I say that to say music has a unique way of pulling us together. So I try to enjoy every single thing I do, be it music, be it sports, one day at a time, and just try to surround myself with good people. So as far as specific music that I really enjoy, any music that is uplifting and pours into me in a positive way, I'm for it.
Because the reason I ask is if there is a favorite musical act or group that really stuck with you, to pin your season down to a song title from that favorite group of yours, I was wondering who that might be.
Yeah, man, you know what? I really enjoy our time together because you've gotten me to laugh quite a bit in this short time we have together. Your questions are pretty good. And I'm sorry that I don't have good answers for you.
Well, then do this. Go spend time with the boss. Go spend time with the rest of the family. Go spend time with your football family because you got to prepare for a semifinal. Get out of here. Have fun this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And before I get off, I really good luck as well to Queensboro FC II. I think they're a great team and a great group, and they wouldn't be in this tournament still if they weren't a quality team. So I'm excited to see them tomorrow night. I'm excited to see what we can display and show our fans and show our families what God's given us.
Last and certainly not least, it's Orange County FC, and you're looking at what you're seeing out of Orange County, and it's time to catch up with a U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer in Paul Caligiuri. Paul Caligiuri is the head coach of Orange County FC, so we catch up with him to find out what it's been like to build Orange County FC, get them to this particular point, a national semifinal, one match away from playing for a championship. So if before the season started, you and I were having this particular conversation where I told you would be in a national semifinal chasing after a championship, what would you have told me then?
Well, John, I appreciate that. And I've been around this game for a long time. And you tend to learn that you take one game at a time, and it's a process. And, certainly when you early on in the season, you start staking claims, and then it feeds off to the players and it becomes the team's attitude or motto. Then basically it just fires up the other teams, and they just want to come out there and destroy you because they think you're arrogant or cocky or whatever it may be. But I would say on the flip side of that, in everyone's back of their mind, the end goal is one thing, and it's to win a championship. What is the process of getting there? How do you keep your team believing each and every step of the way? And of course, you want to grow as a team, not only on the field, but also off the field, where that extra 10% of that unified effort will come to fruition when you're on the pitch.
Was there a moment or a match or a moment in a match this season where you sat there and you're like, yeah, this really could be something special?
That's a great question. I appreciate that. And there's been many moments where these players have produced greatness, and there's been times where we've had flaws. but seeing the team come together has been the greatest. And it's been a very, very challenging road to get to where we're at today.
When you're looking at this group and doing my research, do the numbers offensively are pretty stout, averaging like 3.5 goals a match, that kind of a thing. And the other part that I noticed is that it wasn't just one dude who's like way above everybody else. You're getting a lot of input from a lot of guys to put the ball in the back of the net. What's it like to see this kind of balance work its way through the season the way that it has?
Well, hearing you, I hope the opponents are also thinking the same thing, because then it obviously makes it very difficult to scout and to kind of take care of how to shut us down, so to say. But having a balanced group, it means that you're playing balanced football, you're moving the ball differently, and you're putting people in scoring opportunities. And I think that's also exciting for a team as you grow, knowing it's not just on one or two players' shoulders. It's not just the spine of your team where you focus on the goalkeeper, the center back, the center mid, and the forward. It's kind of broken up everywhere, and that excites everybody to be part of a team that plays team soccer, team style football. And, certainly OCFC does that. And like I said, we faced a lot of other great teams along the way. The UPSL has grown to be such a strong league, attracting former professionals, aspiring professionals, high-level players wanting to get to the next level. And, it's spread out throughout this country, and it's really enlightened me, coming from the background I have, to see what massive talent we have in this country at this level.
When you look at a situation like this where it's 4 teams running into Columbus, Ohio, how much study hall do you actually get, knowing that you're working your way into this semifinal and then possibly a quick turn, or is it more relying on yourself and what you've done to get to this point, and then whatever happens, you adjust in-game tactics, etc.? What kind of study hall do you have coming into something like this, knowing it's going to be a quick turn?
Yeah, between like the studying part of it and looking at the opponents, and then really concentrating on what your team does, is really to find that balance as a coach, as a team. Do you want to overload one or the other? Do you want to disregard what the other team does and just focus on what you do? Do you want to just go top heavy and too much of a breaking down the analysis of the other team, and then you lose part of your own team concept? And I think that everyone that got to this stage, you had to do what you had to do to get here, and you rely on your team first. But looking at the opponents is part of the respectful part, and seeing what you need to do to shut down some key players, the strategies, the formations, how they play. Do they quick counter? Do they have good set pieces? Just really the certain elements of the game that are important to look at. But certainly, you bring up a good question, because if the resources are there, where teams are practicing full time all the time, and there's video analysis and breakdown goes every day into this game at the higher levels, and certainly OCFC, we don't do that too much. We do focus on what we do as a team, that we do respect the opponent and look at tendencies and certain elements of the game that could help us through that match to be successful.
For someone who hasn't seen OC play this year, how would you best describe your philosophy?
I would say OCFC comes out with ambition. We are exciting because we're technical, we move the ball well, we're complementary, but we have this never give up, attitude. You never give up. We give everything we do. We leave it all on the pitch. And I think that's what most people would like to see. They like to see a team that is going out there, putting it all on the field, leaving every ounce of energy on the pitch, and just being unified in the effort. And I think that's what most people appreciate.
You mentioned what it's like to see the UPSL grow, and I know that in some of these leagues, it's difficult on a weekly basis even to have starting 11s or 18s because of so many moving parts, because of jobs and because of college and because of all these other things. How much of a challenge has it been for you and your club this year to have continuity while you're chasing a championship?
the continuity, really the biggest challenges are when you have these away matches. And, Orange County Football Club, we're in Orange County, California, Irvine based. But traveling just in Southern California alone could be hours of traffic or whatever it may be. But you bring up a good point. There are other commitments. There's commitments of family, there's commitments of job, there's commitments for education and school or whatever they may be. And then, of course, you run in, if you're going to play professional sports, you're playing on holidays. I mean, that's just all part of it. So you have holidays and then you have birthdays and graduate. Everything is factored in. But it seems to be that moment where you have those away games. It's a little inconvenient for everyone to get to, etc. It may be an added expense for people that they really don't have the financial needs. But those challenges we meet by carrying a deeper or bigger roster. And certainly, you prepare these players for the opportunities when you think they're going to happen. But in doing so, when you have a roster of 30, 40 players sometimes where you only travel with 20, how do you keep everyone unified and how do you keep those hopes alive? Because you're really only as good as your worst player, if there is a worst player. But, you don't just look at your top players and say, well, we got our 5 key players. Well, it could be the 5 players at the bottom or the new players that are, compress that and make you a very good team.
This is a bit of an added bonus, and this is what happens when you catch up with clubs in the team hotel. You get to catch up with one of the owners of the franchise, who's also listed on the staff of the coaching roster for Orange County. And so we caught up with Nader Debaksh and found out what it's like for him to be able to be a part of building something, getting to this particular point where Orange County FC and Dodge City Toros are chasing after a spot in a championship.
I know a lot of times in my business, folks will sit there and say, well, you're not supposed to ask the how does it feel question, but I'm going to ask the how does it feel question. How does it feel to be in a national semifinal chasing after a championship?
Words cannot describe it. It feels great. It feels, I'm honored to be here with a bunch of great guys that worked hard, and it's a feeling of honor for me.
When you look back at day one of starting this franchise, of starting OCFC,
right,
and you look back from that moment to where we are right now, does it seem like it happened like that, like the snap of a finger? Does it feel like it's really been this long thing that's taken years and a lot of effort and love and all of the sweat and blood and tears and toil and trouble? Does it feel like it started just yesterday, or does it feel like there's been a lot of work to get to this point?
I think it's a combination of both. As when we started, I remember the very first day of our very first tryouts, we had 165 players showed up, something totally unexpected. And we knew we had something special when 165 players show up for a tryout. And we initially were in MPSL, and and I was it was very. I was grateful to have known Paul and have him as part of our group and team. And again, I'm grateful that what Paul has achieved is a culture of OCFC, and it's a culture that everyone knows. In our area, Southern California, and it seems like from the first year, this culture resonated with people and the players, and every single year we've been able to be in playoffs and be in Western Region Finals for MPSL and make playoffs with UPSL. But a lot of hard work has gone into this, being consistent on the field, off the field, and continuously build this culture. This is our first year, obviously, being in national finals. looking back, you're again, one recognizes the amount of hard work that's gone into it. So I hope I answered.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like, when it is a labor of love, so to speak.
Right.
And you're building to you're seeing all these successes, and then the successes build on one another, and the culture continues to build on one another. Do you even have time as an organization to step aside, like when a season is over or something like that, or even when a match day is over? Do you ever get the time yourself to sit there and stand off to the side and kind of prop yourself up against a fence and sit there and go, man, we've really built a lot here. I mean, there's a lot we still have to do, but do you ever get the time to appreciate all the effort that's been put into where you are and where you've come from? Or because things are working and progressing the way that they are, do you not have the time to sit and enjoy it a little bit?
I think what I do personally is, even with my other businesses, is I appreciate what I have on a daily basis and build on that. So this is an ongoing process. On a daily basis, 12 months a year, every single day, we work on building this culture. And every day we enjoy it. So I suppose that is an appreciation of having this organization. But I guess we do have to take a step back and step to the side and say, wow, we have achieved something special in order to be able to build on it. Yeah.
When you look at the UPSL specifically and your time in it, and Coach mentioned it when I talked to him just before I talked to you, what has it been like to be a part of the UPSL and see it grow to where it is now as a part of the national landscape and a part of the part of the pyramid and how things are when it comes to soccer here in the United States? What's it been like to be a part of the UPSL to see it grow?
Right. As I mentioned, I've been part of both MPSL and UPSL. It is absolutely tremendous to see how UPSL has grown. Seeing MLS teams and their academies join the league, the level of the game, the way it has grown, and it's just tremendous. And what is really interesting and really not interesting, I would say it is critical to the game, is the promotion and relegation that UPSL has implemented. It truly tests the strength of the team in terms of the organization and the quality of the team that's put on the field, on the pitch. And it makes every single game count. Every single match matters. And on both ends, the lower division and upper division, the Premier League. So it's tremendous what they've done. And I think it's helped and will continue to help. Just the fact that MLS teams decide to join and recognize that the quality of the league is what it is and decide to join speaks volumes to the greatness of the league.
So my last question for you has to do with this particular weekend that you're a part of.
Right.
And there's a franchise from Dodge City, Kansas that is driving 15 hours to get to Columbus, Ohio.
Right.
There's you guys who are coming from the IE, and you're flying. I guess I'm guessing it was out of John Wayne to work your way to Columbus.
Right.
Then you've got a team out of the Nashville area, Brentwood, Tennessee, that is working their way to Columbus, and then you have a fourth team in this
out of Queensboro, and they're part of USL Championship, and they're doing two competitions at once.
All right.
You're looking at New York, you're looking at Tennessee, you're looking at Kansas, you're looking at California. When you look at the growth of the game,
correct,
you're in these 4 different footprints, and in the southeastern United States, it's kind of taken off leaps and bounds and exponentially over the last handful of years. In the Midwest, there are those pockets where it is part and parcel to what you know on a Friday night, whether it's high school football, high school athletics, and now here comes soccer. We know what it means in the Northeast. We know what it means in the West. What's it like to see these 4 different pockets represented, where it's not just folks from one area or 2 areas, but you've got 4 diverse pockets chasing after a championship?
Well, it's just take a look at where the professional game is. Look at the growth of MLS. What does that tell us? Where was the game in the early 80s? NASL was a defunct league. After the massive, they came on the scene, and then suddenly they were gone, and the country was without any professional league. And thanks to Paul Caligari and his goal, soccer was put back on the map. And just look at the growth of MLS, and you look at soccer being the number 1 sport amongst the teenage to the 40-year-old population right now. It's tremendous to see this growth, and this is just over the past 25 years. So we can only see where the next 25 years is going to take us. Especially, as you said, you're talking about Midwest, whereas baseball, football is the dominant sport. And it has been. And to see the entire country come together, and especially in Columbus, Ohio, to have such final. Again, I can only imagine where we'll be in 20 years. It's amazing to see this growth.
So big thanks to all of the teams that have made it to the national semifinals and are chasing after a championship. Once again, reminder, on the UPSL's YouTube channel, the national finals, 5:30 Friday afternoon, Beaman United and Queensboro FC II, 8:30 UPSL After Dark at historic Columbus Crew Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. Orange County FC, Dodge City Toros FC. The winners will then in turn play for the national championship in the UPSL here in the summer of 2022. Big thanks to all of the clubs who, as they were preparing for a lot of travel, had to put up with those of us here at SDH trying to orchestrate interviews and make sure that the stories could get out. And once again, a big thanks to the league themselves and everybody there in the UPSL office in trying to make sure that we could tell the stories as best as we could. So a big thanks to Chris and everybody at the UPSL office for orchestrating all this and making sure that we could have all 4 teams represented as they're chasing after championships in the UPSL. UPSL YouTube channel for your semifinals and your final in the Premier Division here in early August. That's SDH's look at the UPSL and their championship weekend.